So I seen some mock trades going around, obviously from Rocket fans or Rocket publications, saying that, oh, Jalen Duren is something for Kevin Durant in a mock trade, right? And, at this point, Kevin Durant, I think, will be 38 years old by the time the league starts. So I don't really think I'm giving up much for a guy I might get one more good year out of. A lot of the fans pointed out that he didn't have a great playoff run either. So the playoff runs he ain't been there for playoffs. So you would have to manage him. So nobody's about to give up a lot. But apparently, it was like, yeah, we can just get Jalen Duren. And it was like two other players like Ron Holland, somebody else, and some picks for Kevin Durant. And, most Piston fans was like, nah, like, why would y'all trade for Durant and y'all got Sengun, right? But I'm going to talk about the value of Kevin Durant. And then I end kind of talking about that Duren for Sengun type of deal. Would you guys do it? But about the value of Kevin Durant, I'm not giving up much for Kevin Durant. Now, if I'm giving up a lot out of the guys that may or may not be available, if I'm giving up a lot, it's a guy like Shaedon Sharpe. It's a guy that's under contract for 5 years, was just starting his contract in the 20s. For the next 4 or 5 years, I'm willing to give up a lot for a young guy like that because he's 23 years old. He's going to grow with my team. I'm willing to give up a lot for a guy like Trey Murphy. Not a lot, but I'm willing to give up above market price because he's young and he's still within a reasonable contract. But when you start kind of talking about, guys that's like Michael Porter Jr., Cam Johnson, expiring deals, am I willing to give up a lot for them? No, maybe I'm looking more of moderate. Maybe I'm looking to make it worth your while protecting me and protecting some picks. But then you look at a guy like Jrue Holiday. I'm ready to be moderate with Jrue Holiday. I'm willing to take that contract off your hands. And, but I'm looking at Zach LaVine. I'm not going to give you much for Zach LaVine. I'm willing to take that contract off your hands and compensate you a smidget. Same thing with Malik Monk. But if you're talking about, out of the guys I can think that's available, even Kyrie, I'm not spending big Kyrie, and he just came off an ACL injury. So if I'm talking about big spending, it's not going to be on a 34-year-old or extravagant picks. It's not going to be on a 34-year-old Kyrie. Look what Jaylen Brown got signed for. It's not going to be on a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. But if I'm talking about being a big spender or trying to shake the tree, all the apples off the tree or most of them off the tree, then you talking about Shaedon Sharpe. But other than a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, and I'm not saying they should, just look at the contract. And then right under that, a guy like Trey Murphy, I'm not giving up a lot for, even, for the rest of these guys that possibly could be available on the market. It don't even like LaMelo Ball win for that much, right? But yeah, that's my opinion on it. But yeah, I'm not giving a lot for KD. If anything, maybe I give you a future first round pick and we can match the salaries up. But other than that, his stock ain't the highest right now. Especially when you talk about can we integrate him into our locker room. So when we started to have those discussions about can we integrate that brother into our locker room, there's already locker room issues or locker room talks about him, and we may be talking about other possible fits issues around him. So, but in general, no, I'm not giving up a lot. Now, if you talk about, they throwing Duren in there and KD, and then we make everything match and they willing to throw Sengun in there. I mean, the thing about Sengun in Houston is that he don't play no defense. Now I hear Houston fans kind of getting mad at Sengun because he can't shoot. Oh, Sengun can't shoot. Sengun can't shoot. Does that bother me that Sengun can't shoot? No, it doesn't bother me that he can't. I don't need a 7-footer to shoot the basketball. I don't really understand the obsession where people don't really understand shooting. I don't understand that obsession. You're 7 foot. You're 6'10", 6'11". How are you benefiting me at the 3-point line? You're not. I like Sengun. What worries me is defensively, but some people may also say what worries me is Jalen Duren's defense. But Jalen Duren has a lot of room to grow. I think y'all see the offensive potential in Jalen Duren. The jump shot don't seem bad. He can handle it. How quick and how fast he is. With Sengun, he's more crafty. Definitely a great passer out the post. And Duren is not a shabby passer out the post. It's just that, people in this microwave era of social media where you can go viral and be an instant success like that, they expect everybody to persevere fast. Everybody learn at their own stage. Some people, I might learn slower than most people, but guess what? I mastered it. You never mastered it. Yeah, you learned it and you're proficient at it. You might be really good at it. You might be ahead of me, but eventually I mastered it. You peaked early. I mastered it. You know what I mean? So, that's just my opinion, bro. People just, want to give up on people. I'm not giving up on Jalen Durant. And I'm not saying that another brother shouldn't get the chili that he was entitled to. I'm going to always say that. You won't hear me say, oh, that dude don't deserve that. I might be like, damn, he crazy, but I ain't going to say that. But Sengun, I mean, if they did it, I wouldn't be mad at it. Solid rebounder. Gonna put the ball into the post. But defensively, what can JB Bickerstaff pull out of him defensively? No diddy. Can we get some defense out of him? Can we get some effort? He ain't the blocker. He ain't the athlete that Jalen Duren is. But guess what? The Pistons don't play at a fast enough pace anyway to really cover up the deficiencies of Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren. I've been saying that for years. For those guys not to be able to shoot and be able to do things offensively, where do they shine at in transition? The Pistons, that's one thing the Pistons should work on this year is pushing the pace. With Cade Cunningham, they should push, especially with Abuka Corey. You know what I'm saying? They should push the pace. My bad to start, had to finish the video. They should push the pace a lot more. And I think, with Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson, that's how you can really exploit what they do well and kind of hide their deficiencies a little bit with your jump shooting. Just push the pace, allow them to get downhill, allow them to attack the glass and attack defenses. Why defenses are on their heels, but that's just something that I feel like that's a huge adjustment that the Pistons should make, especially on any given night. You got two of the best athletes on the entire floor, whether it's whether it's Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren. I think they should push the ball a lot more. But yeah, you get Sengun kind of play more like how they want to play. Whether depend on who you talk to. Duren is a bad defender. Duren is a good defender. Could be a great defender. I heard somebody said he got slow feet. He definitely don't have slow feet. Definitely one of the most athletic players in the league. Maybe the processing of defenses or processing movement, stuff is slow, but that comes with more experience. But if you get Sengun and they kind of like, want to play a more half court type of game, Sengun kind of fit how the Pistons play, but honestly, with Ron Hollins, Asar Thompson, Dennis Jenkins, Nabuka Corey, with those guys, they should be getting up and down the court and playing with a lot more pace. In my opinion, they should play with a lot more pace. But it is what it is. It is what it is. They choose not to play with more pace, and ultimately, that ended up hurting them in the long run. But if you get Sengun, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think Sengun is a good player, but me trading Duren just over to Houston without getting Sengun back is nasty work. Or me just trading Duren just to get Kevin Durant, that's not a good trade. I don't care what y'all think about Duren. Durant is got 1, maybe 2 good years left, so no way, Jose. But hey, hit the link in the description. Find me everywhere. You see that, X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever else I'm at. Appreciate the love, support. Check out the Trey Piston Talk playlist. Peace.